Okay, Mom, I know it's not. So hi, welcome to Thursday Yoga. My name is Heather, and if you can grab a blanket to sit on, we'll just take a moment to settle in and then get started. So come to find a comfortable seat and just take a moment to maybe kind of indulge any fidgets or wiggles here. And then once you kind of feel a bit more settled, you can start to close the eyes and then take a moment to root down through your pelvis, so the heels of your pelvis. And then from that place of grounding, start to extend out through the crown of the head to grow the spine long. Then begin to start to broaden the collarbones here and then roll the shoulder blades down the back. And then bring the tip of your tongue to rest on the back of your teeth and release your bottom jaw. And then from here, we'll take 3 rounds of breath together to orient us into this space. So when you are ready, inhale through the nose. And then for your exhale, continue to breathe out through the nose. And then if it feels okay, say an internal sound of Om for the length of your exhale. Inhale through your nose. And then when you're ready to breathe out, continue to have that breath be out of the nose while saying to yourself an internal sound of Om. And then last time, inhale through your nose. And then an exhale through your nose while telling yourself Om. And then from here, you can start to bring your hands to your heart if that feels appropriate. And then we'll all bow our heads to our hearts to set an intention for your practice today. Something that you can dedicate your time and anchor your attention into as we move in our bodies, breathe together, and show up as best we can in this present moment. And we'll all take a round of breath to seal your intention. So inhale through your nose. And then an exhale either through the nose or through the mouth. And then you can release your hands and open your eyes. All right, well, welcome back. So my name is Heather. I think I already introduced myself, but here I go again. And I am a part of YogaX, which is a yoga training and education program at the Department of Psychiatry at Stanford. And so one of our big things that we're doing currently is offering free yoga classes to the Stanford community, both live and recorded, because our hope is to ensure that everybody has access to a practice as well as supportive resources. And essentially, like my theme for today and what we'll be working on is it's one of my favorite yoga sutras, and it's in the front. It's like the third sutra. It's in the first chapter, and essentially what it's saying is like the why we practice yoga, and the why goes way beyond like whether we have nice arms, right, like the good biceps, or like the fit abdominals, or the nice back bend or inversion practice. That those are nice, sure, if they show up or present themselves, and the most beneficial part of the practice is that yoga is this way of remembering who we are. And that the yoga path in Sanskrit is yoga marga, is leading us back to who we've been all along, and to cultivate our memories of our innate resilience, adaptability, and interconnection. And what I love about this is it says that everybody has this, right? That this is not like owned by anybody, but owned by everybody. And essentially, right during this time, right before election, and after hearing the kind of disappointing results of what happened with Breonna Taylor and her murderers not being brought to justice, it can be quite frustrating. And so essentially, like and you can feel, I'm feeling disheartened, and sometimes we feel a bit of helplessness. And so yoga is this right call to action and this invitation to be more of our authentic selves, which at our truest nature, we care about each other. You watch this with like little kids, like they naturally want to take care of each other. And I've seen this before, when one's upset, the other one goes and tries to give them a hug. Like this is like what we have innately. And just along the way, we've forgotten through othering, through our own personal trauma, through more systemic trauma. And so essentially, like by showing up in our yoga practice, right, it's guiding us back to our innate selves so that we continue to show up personally and socially responsible. All right, that's my little soapbox. So now we'll be moving a little bit like in a more active practice. And so again, like feel free to opt in or opt out of whatever shape I offer. And if there's something that you'd like to do to make it more personal, or if you need to take a break, please feel free to do any and all of that. I'm the yoga teacher in this moment, and you also have that yoga teacher within who knows more than I do. Okay. So now we'll get started in a child's pose. I'm going to close the window because you can hear everything. And so child's pose, either knees to touch or knees wide on your yoga mat. And then you can walk your hands forward. And then from here, you have the option of bringing a blanket or a pillow underneath the head, or just bringing your forehead totally onto the ground. Again, it's your choice to make this pose as supportive as possible. And then once you kind of settle into this shape, we'll take 3 rounds of breath here where you inhale through your nose. And then for your exhale, it's like you're sighing and like releasing the body into the mat. We'll do that again. So inhale through your nose. And exhale to sigh and release. And then last time, inhale through your nose. And last time to exhale. So soften as much as you can into the support of the ground. And then just continue to let your body be held here as you start to transition your attention to watching your breathing and watching how your body breathes. And especially as we start to shift to watching this part of our experience, right? It's almost watching like with curiosity and awe that breathing happens, right? Without you having to do anything about it, right? That we have this innate wisdom that knows how to be in relationship with the world around us through each in-breath and each out-breath. And then from here, so keep your left arm forward. And then we'll start to bring our right hand back, and then start to like draw it over to the left side. So we're spreading the arm. And then start to turn your nose towards the left arm, and then come to rest the right side of your face either on the prop or on the ground. as you rest on the back of your right shoulder, broadening through the space between the shoulder blades and then giving into gravity here. Right, if it felt good to like use your exhale to soften into the shape, please feel free to do so. Right, like a big part of the sutra that I really like, where it's like inviting us to be in our true nature. It uses the word in some translations to like reside, which is like to rest and to like live in our true nature. And so kind of letting yourself rest in that and inviting the possibility of feeling that within this moment. And when you're ready, walk the right hand forward. You can give yourself a moment in this neutral position, maybe even looking forward to extend through the front of the neck. And then when you're ready to switch, we'll start to just draw the left hand over to the right. Release the left side of the head down to a proper to the floor, and then rest in the shape. And then giving yourself a couple of exhales to soften here even more. Great. To see if you can have the experience of residing here on this side. And then when you're ready, walk the hand forward and then come forward into a tabletop shape. Maybe rocking side to side, forward and back. Kind of just letting your body move in whatever way feels intuitive. I've been spending this past week moving lots of furniture and boxes. So my whole body is like, I just need to move in a way that's not lifting. So again, kind of like letting that happen organically as best you can. And then from here, I'll invite you to walk both hands forward. So like a handprint or two forward. And then keep your hips over your knees as you draw your hips back and extend your arms. So from here, you might find you'd like a support underneath the head. So again, a brick or a blanket is fine. Or you can place your forehead on the ground. And again, kind of whatever feels intuitive. And then so start to press down through the fingertips. And then it's like you're wrapping the outer triceps down to the ground and then hollowing out through the armpits. And then roll the shoulder blades up towards the hips as you bring the crown of the head forward towards the prop or towards the floor. And letting your breath be soft here. And flow as naturally as it can. Right, a big part of yoga is just observing the innate intelligence that we have. Right, that our yoga isn't necessarily giving us anything new, it's reminding us of what we already possess and who we are. And from here, if your elbows are lifted, start to release them down to the ground. And then bring your hands together forward. So it's pinky side down and your palms are together and the thumbs are pointed up towards the ceiling. Then from here, bend at the elbows to draw the hands up towards the ceiling and then back so that the thumbs come towards the occipital lobe. So keep pulling in on the low belly as you draw the elbows forward and like release down through the armpits. Extend through the sides of the ribs. And then from here, it's like you're wrapping the outer hips in. So the muscles of the hips are kind of hugging in towards the bone so that your legs feel strong here. And when you're ready, we'll inhale to walk the hands forward. And then start to walk the hands back to find a tabletop shape. And then from here, we'll move side to side again. If you like, you can start to move the spine forward and back. But then from here, tuck your toes. And then we'll inhale here. And then your exhale now to tuck your chin towards your chest as you press the mid back up towards the ceiling, pressing out through the space between the shoulder blades, and then slowly bring the hips back towards the heels and extend out through the arms. Kind of like you're creating like a turtle shell and pressing out through that part of your spine. And when you're ready on your inhale, you'll roll forward. And then you can decide here is just to start to lower the belly, roll the shoulder blades down the back, and then if it feels okay in your neck, you can start to look up towards the ceiling or where the ceiling meets the wall. And then on your exhale, start to curl into the body. Once again, pressing the mid back up towards the ceiling and then drawing your hips back towards your heels. Child's pose. Stretching out through the backs of the feet, or the bottoms of the feet. And inhale to roll forward. And so you can either do this cow shape where you release the belly down, or you can start to bring it into your pelvis as well, where you lower the hips to create a bigger back bend if it feels okay in your spine. Broadening through the collarbones here, wrapping the outer tricep to the ribs, maybe looking up towards the ceiling. And then exhale to pull in on the low belly to rise the spine up and then back. So start to move through these two shapes where you either come into a back bend where you're in tabletop or into this seal position. And then pressing the hips back, finding child's pose. So following your own breath and the needs of your own body, and maybe asking yourself, like, how would I move in these shapes if I didn't have something to prove here, right? If I was just moving in these shapes and already trusted that I have like all of that I need. And then when you're ready, next time you come up, coming into a tabletop shape. And then from here, extend out through the left leg and press out through the heel. So try to balance the pelvis as best you can. And then it's like one straight line is pressing out through the heel and then reaching out through the crown of the head here. So we're just reaching the back of the leg to extend and start to open up the back body. We'll take 2 more rounds of breath here. And then when you're ready, release the knee. And then we'll switch sides. So inhale to stretch the right leg back, pressing out through the heel and opening the back of the knee while keeping the pelvis balanced. And you might find so that you don't necessarily dump into the left hip, you can kind of press into the right hand, so the opposite hand of the bent knee, to make the pose a little bit more balanced. All right, we'll do this 2 more times. So just pressing out through the left heel, coming back to neutral, and then pressing out through the right, and then coming back to neutral. All right, so this time now, start to press back through the left heel and then lift the back leg. And so here, right, you want to press into the opposite hand of the bent knee. Then we'll inhale here. And then on your exhale, start to bring your nose towards your knee. And then curl the mid back up towards the ceiling. Inhale to extend out long with the leg lifted. And then exhale, knee to nose. Last time, inhale to extend out. And then exhale, knee to nose. And then inhale to extend out. And then exhale to release the left knee down. Then we'll switch sides. So inhale to press the right heel away from the body and then lift the heel. Then we'll exhale to find ourselves in a balanced shape, right? Maybe bringing more weight into the right hand so that you're not dumping all of your weight into the left hip. And then we'll inhale here and then exhale, right knee to the nose. Inhale back. Exhale, knee to nose. And then last time, inhale back. And then exhale, knee to the nose. Pressing the mid back up towards the ceiling. And then inhale to extend. And then exhale to release the knee down. Untuck the toes, back on the heels. Shake out the hand. All right. So the next shape, if you were in my class on Tuesday, we're going to be kind of doing something similar, but we're making it a bit more active. And so just watch me first. I'll give you two options here. So I'll first show it with the wall, and then I'll show it with the chair. So the option with the wall is, so imagine that this is the wall edge. You're going to bring your hand like so that your pointer finger and thumb are pressing into the wall. And you'll bring both hands here towards the wall edge. Then you'll inhale, and then exhale to lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Feels really nice on the backs of my legs. And then you'll breathe here for a couple of rounds of breath, and then we'll lower the knees, and then shake out the hands. All right? So if you do not have a free wall space, this is where a chair can come in handy. And I'll have you bring your hands to the base of the chair, but then instead of like normal downward dog where you have your hands forward, you'll have the hands out wide and you'll kind of align the thumb and then the pointer fingers. You'll inhale here and then exhale to walk the hips back and have a really long spine, but then do the work to roll the shoulders like and the outer arm bones down to the ground. And not so much that you sink into the armpits, but there's a intentionality behind strengthening in the shoulders, okay? So start to make your choice, right? Whether you're using a chair or a wall. I'm gonna show it on the wall. And bring your hands right up to the wall base, okay? And then press into the forefinger and thumb and feel, and you can do this on the chair too, where you press down instead of forward and feel what happens like throughout your shoulders, right? I feel it like all the way in my shoulder girdle and shoulder blades. And then you'll inhale and then exhale to lift your hips up and back, or if you're in a chair, walk your feet back so that your hips are more or less over your heels. And start with bent knees. And first start by lengthening out through the arms, rolling the outer arm bones down. And then as you do this, the crown of the head goes forward to the floor or towards the chair. And then pull in on the low belly and then extend out through both sides of your ribs. Press down through the heels and then start to open the backs of the knees as you engage the quadriceps up towards the hip crease. And we'll take 1 to 2 rounds of breath here. And then when you're ready, on your exhale, lower your knees. And then come sit on your heels and then shake out your hand. All right. So we'll do that again, but then this time we'll kind of add to it. So we'll do this together. So hands to the base of the wall or hands on your chair. Then we'll inhale and then exhale to lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog, or walk the heels back so that your hips are over your heels. Then from here, we'll inhale and then start to walk your right foot slightly in, like so towards the left foot. Ooh, there's a fuzz on my foot, okay. And then you'll lift the left leg from here. Ooh. And then extend out through the left heel. Toes are pointed downwards and there's a flexion at the ankle. Oh, you can't see me on the screen. Okay. We'll just imagine that my leg is going up. And then there's one long line from the left hand out to the left heel. And then sometimes we have a tendency to like dump in the right side. And so make sure that both sides of the ribs are long and lifted. And then release the head so that you can kind of look towards the floor and have the ears by the biceps. And then exhale to lower the right leg or left leg. Then from here, we'll switch sides. So left leg goes in like closer to the right, and then we'll inhale, lift and lengthen through the right leg. And so it's like the inner thigh is pushing back towards the heel. And then ensure that both sides are long as you hold this for 1 to 2 rounds of breath. And then exhale to lower the right knee down, or right foot down, and then exhale to lower the knees down, and then come to sit on the heels. Whew. All right. So I'm going to move my screen so you can see me a little bit better this way. Okay. So now we're going to do something different with the arms. So we'll be moving into a dolphin shape. So if you have a wall and a brick, we'll use that. If you just have a chair, I will also show you that option. So just come to watch first, and then I'll show you with the other one. So if you don't have a wall or brick, you can interlace the hands here, and you'll have this like nice little diamond shape, kind of like what we did earlier. And then you'll lift the hands to press down through the ulnas, and then this is your base, okay? The next base option is that you have the brick right up to the wall, and then you put your hands so that the brick kind of fits right in, okay? And it's, again, you're using your little pinchers. And you'll pinch into the brick, and then that's your base, okay? If you're just using a chair, okay, you'll do either with the brick on the chair or with the hands interlaced on the chair, and then that's your base. All right, so start to set it into your base with what you got. I'm gonna do the wall option. And then from here, we'll inhale and then press into your forearms. If your hands are interlaced, you lift your hands and then press into the arm bone, so the ulnas, and then release your hands down. And your arms are like in an 11 shape, so that they're about shoulder width distance. Then you'll inhale here, and then exhale. Now you start to press your hips back, and then extend out to the back of the knees. If you're on the chair, you walk your heels back so that you can stack your hips over your heels and then press into your forearms. So now, regardless, right, we're pressing down through the forearms and then extending through the armpits. And then having the sides of the ribs really long and then hugging the outer hips in towards the bone and in towards the pelvis. So it's like when I say hips, I mean muscles of the hips. And then letting the head hang. And then we'll inhale here. And then exhale to lower the knees. Woo. Shake out the arms, giving yourself a break. All right. So the next, I'm going to be like adding things. And so you get to choose kind of what feels good in your practice and what feels like a good edge. So if that pose felt challenging enough, because it is pretty challenging, you can hear it in my breath, I'm like, whew. You could just stay and practice that, right? And just give yourself like a couple of breaths in it, and then give yourself a bit of time to rest, and then maybe go back into it. The next option is kind of linking what we've done before. So you have your base wherever it is, whatever you've chosen. And then we'll inhale here. Exhale to lift your hips. So just watch me first. And then we'll play around with extending out through one leg. And again, it's kind of like what we were doing in downward dog. The rib cage is really long. The leg is really like active and pressing out through the heel. And then you'll bring the leg down, lower onto the leg, and then come to rest. And you can rest between sides, or you just switch and just move to the next leg, okay? So we'll use the next like 3 minutes to like play around with that. So again, right, finding your base, pressing down through your forearms, inhale here, and then exhale to lift your hips, right? And again, if this feels like enough, you can totally just stay and practice this shape, maybe going in and out of it. Or if you're kind of more interested in lifting the leg, right, you bring the base leg towards the middle of your mat, and then you inhale the one leg to lift up. Really active at feet, a really long line, and right, that there's a balance between both sides of the ribs. And then exhale to lower the foot. And then when you're ready, if you'd like, you can start to lift the opposite leg. Whew. And again, noticing maybe if there's a difference between sides. And as you kind of practice these, kind of watch what's happening with your breath, right? As we do more challenging shapes, right, the breath knows exactly what to do. Maybe you just start to switch side to side. Or maybe you just give yourself a rest. Then you get to decide what to do in your practice and what feels the most meaningful. All right. Whew. And then when you're ready, come to sit on your heels, shake out your arms. All right, so I'm gonna give you one more option. Again, you can always just stay in practicing dolphin. You can always just practice lifting a leg or two and holding it, or maybe switching. All right, this next one, we're gonna add an inversion. So if you're using a chair, this is not for your practice. Just because, it's not a stable base. But if you're using the wall or if you have your forearms on the floor, this is really important to have a wall space here so it can catch you. You'll bring your hands to the bricks, so watch me first. If you're in a chair, you can just kind of get into your own practice. You don't have to watch. And so you'll bring your hands to your base, whatever you've chosen to do. And you'll lock your feet in. Right? Like more so that you feel like you can try to put you see how high my hips are over my shoulders? Then you'll start by lifting one of the legs. Yay! Then maybe you start to hop. The trick is both legs are long and you're pressing out through both heels. Right? And then just making sure that you practice on both sides and then giving yourself a rest. So now it's your turn. So give yourself a moment to set up your base, right? And then what helps with inversions, at least for me, is whenever I have a fuck it attitude, like I'm not really attached to me going up in the shape or it looking a certain way. Like the biggest thing is that I'm like, you know what? I trust, or maybe I'll trust my worth that it means more than me holding this shape, right? That this shape is just a way for me to be more embodied rather than having this pose like mean anything about who I am and my worth. Okay. Yeah, the technical yoga term is the fuck it attitude. So just giving yourself a couple moments. The really important thing too is like when you're going up is like, it's like having this like faith that like your body will catch you and the wall will catch you, and having really long and strong legs, right? Trying not to like kind of bend them or it's like the trepidation, right? It's like you're like, I'm just going for it. And something about inversions that I like is like once you fall, right, you realize it's not that big of a deal. But the fear involved before falling, you're just like, mm-mm. So again, it's something for you to practice with and for you to work with. And so we'll use the next minute or so to keep practicing that shape and giving yourself a moment to maybe test where your body is, or right, if the big yoga practice for you, right, is knowing to rest or when to rest, give yourself that as well. So if you're not already there, come to find a child's pose, right, towards the wall or on the floor, or if you're at the chair and you're not ready to come to the floor yet, you can just forward fold and release the body onto the seat of the chair. And so if you're in child's pose, you can walk the hands forward, or if you'd like a release in the shoulders, you can walk the hands back to let the shoulders kind of melt and surround your body. And letting your attention come to your breath and kind of noticing what's happening with your breathing in this moment. Especially after that more upregulating part of the practice. And then also watching how, without you having to do anything about it, your breath naturally starts to slow down. Right, that the body intuitively knows how to come back to homeostasis, which can also be thought of as like your true nature, where you're balanced, grounded, and at ease. Regardless of what's happened before, and regardless of what will happen afterwards. And then when you're ready, bringing your hands underneath your shoulders and coming to sit on your heels. If you're in child's pose, if you're on a chair, just start to make your way to the ground. And from here, just grab a yoga brick or a blanket or a pillow. I'm going to move the screen so you can see me. And just have a brick nearby. And then you'll bring your feet flat on the floor. And then you just let your shoulder blades melt into the earth. And then you'll bring your brick underneath your hips. And you can decide whether you'd like the widest or the second highest. But beyond that, we haven't done a lot of back bending, so just kind of going mild with this as best you can. And then you can either stay here, where you just kind of let the weight of the body provide traction through your spine. Or if you'd like, you can walk the feet forward so that the stretch comes into the hip flexors here. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's just finding a shape that feels like it's inviting you to be even more present on your mat and with your body. And inviting this possibility of feeling a bit more authentic in this moment to who you are. Continuing to watch your breath and kind of watching what it does as you're in this more quiet shape. Releasing the shoulders and softening the body into the ground. And then from here, bring your feet to the floor. And then if they're not already there, and then we'll all lift the hips to move the prop out from underneath you. And then from here, hug the knees in towards the chest and rock the body side to side. And then from here, start to rock over to the left side, so much so that your whole body starts to lie in a fetal position. And then from here, extend the arms forward in front of you and bring the right palm on top of the left. And then we'll inhale the right arm up and then over to the right. And then here, if you like, this is where supports might be great, where you bring like a pillow or something underneath the knees or between the thighs or underneath the shoulder. Again, like especially in these shapes, when we get to the end of class, it's like really inviting the possibility of not straining here. And so using whatever supports you have here, right? Because especially like you have nothing to prove in this shape. It means nothing to have your shoulder on the floor or like there's no gold star if you have the legs together. Essentially what you're hoping to get here is that you feel like you can soften into your body and just let your body like embrace this experience of being here, whatever that means to you. And when you're ready, we'll inhale to bring the right arm up and then over to the left, curling onto your left side. And then we'll inhale to hug the knees in towards the chest, rocking back towards to lie on your back. And then giving your knees, like rocking them side to side, and then eventually rocking them so much so that you lie completely on your right side. And then from here, extend both of your hands in front of you, bring your left hand on top of your right. And then we'll inhale to draw the left arm up towards the ceiling and then over to the left. Oh, sorry. And then again, right, kind of using whatever supports you need on this side, knowing that your sides are going to be different, and so doing whatever you need to take care of them. If you have a pet nearby like I do, you can start to pet the pet. And then giving yourself this moment to close your eyes and settle into the shape. Especially in being in these shapes, right? Knowing that there's nothing to do and there's nothing to undo. That our yoga practice really is this like process of being. So, how can you be here in the most authentic way possible? And from here, we'll inhale the left arm up and over to your right. Give yourself a moment to rest on your right side, and then we'll inhale to roll onto the back. Maybe rocking the knees side to side, maybe forward and back, maybe making figure eights, kind of flowing in your body in whatever way it's needing. And then eventually making your way to find your final resting shape, where your legs are out extended in front of you and your arms are down by your sides. And then start to close your eyes and settle into a position of stillness. Right, so that you can rest in the culmination of your practice in the final moments of class, that we will all rest together in silence. Begin to deepen your breath here. And slowly begin to invite your senses to come back into the room that you were in. And then eventually starting to bring movement into the body in whatever way feels intuitive or feels nourishing. Maybe a big stretch. And then eventually making your way onto one side. And then give yourself a moment to rest here, to honor this transition. And then when you feel ready, come up to find a comfortable seat, whatever that means to you. And if it feels okay, maybe cross your legs in the opposite way than you normally do. And then you can bring your hands face down on your palms or your hands together in front of your heart. As I invite everyone to bow your head to your palms and take a moment to bow to the inner radiance that you already possess. And that our yoga practice is here not necessarily to gain anything or to get anything new, but to simply remember and cultivate the inner brilliance we already have. And that at our core, we are resilient, wise, and interconnected. And so from the bottom of my heart and from this place of light, I honor this light in you. A big bow of gratitude to every single one of you. Thank you. So thank you so much for spending the time to practice with me and my cat. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon and you continue to take really good care and do things in a way that like makes your light shine a little bit brighter.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm going to turn off the recording. Okay.